Okay, so I'm gonna freehand this just for the start, and then I'm gonna see if I can find a fixed position for my tripod. But I just went through the instructions on the Seven Sins. I will have the rule book handy for reference. Um, Hopefully, I can get through a couple rounds. I think I would like to play the entire game, but I'm not going to record it because that would just take too long. I mean, I'll probably lose. The heroes will probably lose really quick. Even though I'm doing the beginner scenario, I will have the book handy for turn reference, or round sequence. Let's go review real quick. So originally I had the Gray Apocalypse track, but there was stuff on there that I didn't really understand. I mean, it kept on summoning Apocalypse demons. I didn't know exactly what that meant. So I grabbed the red one to match the Haven's Last Stand, the whatever this type of adventure is. Mission, the terror story. This is the terror story, so to match that. Okay, so I've chosen Gluttony, which I believe is an expansion. It's not one of the two sins that come in the board, but I like the power of Gluttony. Says, beware heroes, I will feed off your power. So whenever a hero gains an upgrade card, the sin player gains a sin card. Whenever a hero gains an extra turn token, then the sin player gets a reaction token. So right now there's 3 reaction tokens, 1 per player, and I've chosen Corrupted Musicians for the Acolytes. And so once per round, I may summon a dead musician to join a non-ranged fight before dice are rolled. The hero can't take voluntary corruptions this fight unless he also takes 2 wounds. So, it makes it extra hard. Let's see. You get I'm not using the Dark Past cards. It's just an added thing. Here are the Gluttony deck of cards, or hand. I do have, because I noticed in this deck, has summoning cards for these additional demons. We have some extra turn tokens, extra pentagram, fire, and corruption tokens, which at the start of the round, I will be placing 1 of each in different spaces. And then, let's see, this is the mission, and for this one in particular, you have to complete the mission, you have to follow the instructions, and then the multiplier here is how many players, or how many heroes are in play. So in this case, I'm doing 3 heroes, and it looked like my friend has separated the heroes in his plastic Ziplocs per set. So I forgot what it's called, but wherever these musicians came from were a set of heroes. There were 5 heroes, and so I don't even know if these are the original ones or what. But so I just grabbed those 5, and so since I'm playing 3 heroes at a time, there are only 2 in reserve. And I read or heard somewhere that you get like with a 4-player game, there's just like 1 extra hero, and then a 3-player game, you get 2 extra. I don't know exactly how that goes. Some reviewers say just however many heroes you have, whatever you're not using becomes a reserve, and then when they're all gone, they're gone. Anyway, so I have 3 heroes from the set, and then there's 2 in reserve. So when those 2 are gone and someone else dies, and so then the heroes lose, because there's no more heroes to respawn. So these are their play excuse me, their player playmats. I have this lady, Manuela, with a crossbow. Kurt has got a pair of knives, looks like. We got the guy, Bob, with who's the leader. He's got dual-wielding pistols. Julia has this big-ass gun. I thought it was a Gatling gun. Somehow. But it's like this laser thing. Laser-looking thing. Or it's got like laser scopes or whatever. And then I have, I thought she had like long guns or something. They're swords. Or they're like, electro rods or something. Wang Si Wong. Some badass Asian chick. So, this is the setup. I use this, I'm guessing this is the bonus setup because it's in the little, it's Haven's Last Stand. The playmat over there has 2 on the back, which are different from this third one. And this is on the story scenario book. The other ones have a particular cover on it, and then the rest are like scenarios. This one has just scenarios. There's no artwork on the front cover, but there's additional. See. Okay, so I've set up the board. These orange things are nests. These are permanent on the board, which are a ton of them, and then these are floating ones. Those can be cleared. Pentagrams, permanent corruption. So if a player ends their turn there in this space, they're going to get 2 corruption. Involuntary. And then I think when they leave, they have to defend against corruption. And I think I'll have to reference that. Here's the metro stops. So they're basically like wormholes. NPC over there, he gives bonus to die rolls, I think. Corruption, the balance is as players take on corruption, they get bonuses. So they're like you're deriving energies from a dark place to get some bonuses to your die rolls and defense and attack. Wild card looks like. And then as you take wounds, you have to choose which ones you want to block out. And so you'll lose those abilities unless you can heal them up. And when someone takes 5, then they're dead. Okay. So, and this is a corruption track. I don't know why there's holes here. I mean, I guess it's fancy to have the token here. Personally, I would just have, I mean, who's going to bump it, right? I would just have it flat and then have that as a sliding scale. But yeah, whatever. It's not my game. So, I mean, it's Eric Lang's game. He did the way he wanted to do it. So you have a name, flavor text. You have their stats. So Julia, for example, she'll roll 3 dice to attack. She cannot clear any of these tokens, looks like. I forgot what they're called. And then, skill. No, wait. No, it's faith. That's a faith symbol. And use that to clear off tokens off the board. Let's see. What else? Oh, the different dice. That's an orbital strike. I think this is a commissioner token that gives an extra defense. I think, or maybe that's the commissioner token. I don't know what this thing is. Fire is represent fires in the city. Each, not each of them, but the different buildings, city buildings, they have different abilities, and each player once per round can place a token to unlock it. And only one player at a time can access it. This one, for example, is you place this here, and then this person will get an upgrade. We'll get to heal a corruption, and it looks like they'll get to heal a wound. And then at the end of the round, they get it back. Um, here are the upgrades. Once one is taken, another one is flipped up from the deck to replace it. These are altars, and these allow the Sin player at the end of the round. They will draw back one of these Sin cards for every altar token that's on the board, +1. So wherever there's no heroes. So at the end of the round, if there's no heroes at all, then the Sin player will get to draw 4 cards. That's really basically it. I mean, and then it comes down to rolling dice and then canceling them out. So, like, you got these custom dice. Those are regular attacks. These are defense. So for every attack, successful attack from a Sin player, they can defend 1. This is to prevent corruption. It's one of these swirlies with a cross through it. These don't apply during fights. This is your faith, and these apply when you're clearing out these different tokens. I actually have to look up what I have to roll for those. And then I think you roll against the Sin player actually. And then this is your faith. I'm sorry, your skill token. For every one of these that you have, you may change to a die face of your choice. And then you also have, where is it? Where are these guys different? Huh. Let's see. These are extra tokens or extra tentacle. Oh, okay. So heroes don't get them. Heroes get two possible attacks. On here, the 2 fists. Where is it? There's the other fist. Well, they also have the skill token, which is very powerful, and the anti-corruption and the faith and defense. So that's why. But for the Sin player gets attack, corruption. Let's see. Yeah, 2 attacks, 2 blanks. Oh, 1 blank. And with this fist with burst is what they call it. It means when you roll it, when that goes face up, you get to roll an additional die for more attacks. So, okay. So that's the brief introduction. Each player. So and they have 7 rounds before the Sin player is super powerful. The game isn't over, but at that point, but it's gonna be super duper hard for the heroes to beat the game by that point. Each round, each hero gets a minimum of 2 actions, or not 2 actions, 2 turns. And I think, 2 turns, and then they can earn additional turns that may incur some penalties. Like in this case, Gluttony does extra stuff when they get extra turns, I think. And then likewise, the Sin player will always have as many reactions. So every time the Sin player wants to play a card as a reaction to a player's movement or a player's action. So they don't necessarily have the Sin player doesn't have a turn. He just plays whenever he feels like it, using a reaction token to do it. um, and they can earn extra ones somehow. Then whatchamacallit, at the end of the round, all the extra stuff will be discarded or set aside, and then the original number of reaction tokens, depending on how many players there are active, or not active, but how many heroes there are, will reset. Same with the turn tokens. These flip up like that to show that they've been used, and any extra ones that have been used will be discarded or placed back into the reserve, and they'll start again with the 2 that they originally had. So, and then of course the city activation tokens will all return to their respective heroes. That's the gist of it. I'm going to look up a few things before I get started, and I'm going to look for a fixed position in which to place the phone. I really wish I had a tripod. I would place it right here. This covers most of it. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. But the gameplay is pretty straightforward. It really is Zombicide, but a little harder. And the map tiles are smaller. So there are less zones. Like, it looks like some of these buildings, well, none of these buildings have separate walls or anything like that. I mean, you're either inside the building or you're outside of it. So even if there are like walls that you could see in some of the buildings, they don't really count as zones like they do in Zombicide. It's just in the building or outside the building, and then I think each tile is a divider. So, like, if my hero here, if Bob here, were going to fire at a monster, a ranged, he would shoot. I think range is always going to be 2 spaces. That's the example to give. So, where is it? Oh, range, yeah. Range. Yeah, I guess it doesn't say, it doesn't designate how many spaces, so range must be a straight up 2 spaces. Anyways, if you want to fire a ranged shot, it would be 2 spaces, up to 2 spaces, so 1, 2 to this guy, this acolyte, but he wouldn't be able to shoot this guy because it's not straight in front of him. That's what I got from the example. Those who know, who have played, can correct me if you want to, but that's how I'm going to play it. And what else? Oh, and there's no really starting place where the heroes go. You just choose where you want to go. So my first mission is to equip 3 upgrade cards. Bob will get 1 off the bat. And let's see. And there's no limit. You can have as many upgrades as you want. Unfortunately, Gluttony will take advantage of that. So maybe in this case, we don't really want to be all decked out with the equipment. We'll see. So, alright. Gonna stop this video. We'll look for a place to mount my phone and get started.